Everyone probably wishes they didn't have to worry about money and budgeting and paying for expenses. And to some degree, hopefully you guys in your own lives don't have to worry too much about it. But one day you will. And so today we're going to look at budgeting. Assuming I can get this to go forward. Okay, so what's a budget? A budget is looking at how much money you make, what your expenses are, and what you should be, what your rigid expenses are, your taxes, hopefully your savings, maybe your mortgage or your rent, your car payments, health benefits, and or things we're talking about throughout this course, and then of course fun things. And you guys will find out when you get a paycheck, when you start working, much of the paycheck will be gone before you even get it. And the other thing you're going to find, unfortunately, is that inflation of products goes more quickly up than your paycheck. So that's a budget. Okay, you can see the things on the right that I just talked about: housing, mortgage, or rent, living expenses. I've mentioned a few, like your health care, your food, water, electricity, car payments, taxes, children. It's more than 10%. Savings, and of course when we say 10% of your total income, your gross income, not of your net income, which we'll get into a second. And of course you want to go out. Medical expenses, even if you have insurance, well, one, you have insurance to pay for, and two, you do have co-payments. So no one's saying that you should have no fun and only savings, but you do have to weigh it. And we'll get into that more in a second. I just mentioned gross income is your total amount. Starting salary for a teacher, I think, is a gross income of $48,000. But then you take out your federal tax, your state tax, your health costs, your state retirement, your Fairfax County retirement, and you've lost a significant amount then. So net is what you have after you pay those things, and then of course out of that you take all the other things. There's of course fixed payments. You can, like health insurance, like taxes, you can add. I have money taken out, for example, for retirement. That would become a fixed. Variable is you decide you want to go out or not go out. Something that can go up or down. But you know you're going to have it. And discretionary is you have the discretion, meaning you don't have to spend it. Variable would be things like, I have 3 children, so the medical payments, braces, going to the doctor, that's going to vary, but it's still things we have to spend on as opposed to our health benefits, our health costs, insurance each month. Okay, we just mentioned gross income as opposed to net, what you earn as opposed to what you really get. And then of course tax ranges, there are 3 federal levels, the lowest, the middle, and the highest. And then you have state income tax, and you have local taxes. Of course, it's another unit here between sales tax, gas tax, property tax, and even if you rent, you're paying, if property tax goes up, your rent goes up as well. Okay, and I just mentioned the taxes, the multiple levels of taxes. And this savings you want to very quickly on when you guys start working, and even before when you're living at home, try to get 3 months income saved, because you never know. The federal workers, for example, just recently, some of them were not paid. If something like that happens, or your business you're working for closes, or it's a national disaster, you always want to have money because you need to pay all of your expenses, such as your car, retirement, etc., even if you're not working. Okay, you can see this is an unfortunate thing that's happening in this country, and it's bad for the economy, is that savings are going down. It's bad for the U.S. economy, because when you're saving and you're putting either in a bank or in buying shares of a company, that means the economy grows. And by that, because if you're putting it in the bank, then the bank's going out and spending your money, sorry about the lighting, on investments, and that means more jobs. And if you're not doing that, that hurts. Now, yes, you're going out and spending it on yourself, but more likely than not, part of the reason the savings are going down is because salary relative to costs have gone down. And by the way, this is part of the reason why we had the recession we had at the end of Bush and early Obama, that and well, period. Okay, so save young, save as much as you can, and in a second we're going to look at how you can save because of all the expenses you're going to have. So this is the real way you save. For example, my wife and I, when we got married, before we had kids, we were spending more money on the two of us than we were. I have twin daughters and a son. When my twin daughters were born, and we had 20 diapers a day, and part of it's because we virtually stopped going out. Of course, we were too tired to. We stopped ordering pizza on Fridays. My wife stopped going to lunch ever. She just brown bagged it. I, as a teacher, brown bag it every day. And so that would be a want versus a need. Do you really need to go out to lunch, or can you make your own lunch for $3 or $4? Do you need a huge house, or can you live in a medium-sized house? Do you need the frivolous car? And even inside the car, what are the things you need? Do you really need, even though you can buy a new smartphone for $200 every month, do you really, every 2 years, do you really need it? Is it significantly different to get that new smartphone? And if the answer is no, then don't do it, because the little expenses, even $200, add up very quickly. Do you really need the new clothing, or is it just the new style? And the answer is usually not. And so those are the kind of questions. And unfortunately, people out of college have never been presented with the paychecks that they're getting, and so they make frivolous decisions and they start saving too late. The other thing is, when your salary goes up, you think you should be spending more, and you're not putting away enough. Okay, we've seen the fixed expenses, we've gone through that. The variable expenses, variable meaning they go up and down, but you still have to pay for them. You still have to eat, still have to have gas for your car, still have to have telephone. And then, of course, we just talked about some ways to go through it. Impulse buys. These are the candy and the magazines that are there when you check out at the store, which are put there for specifically the purpose of getting you to spend money you didn't intend to do. One thing you could do, for example, save money. You can giant, if you have over $50 now, if you do it online, they will bag it and have it ready. You never go in the store. You never have a variable expense. You never have a impulse, or you have less chance of impulse. Okay, and then discretionary CDs for you guys, that would be downloads of songs, eating out. Do you want an expensive haircut, girls, or can you go with a cheaper one? How many concerts, vacations? For example, my wife and I take our kids on some international travel, but we always get cheaper hotels. We almost always have breakfast in the room, and we make lunch. And those are ways that we save expenses. So again, to go over the three, it's fixed, fixed, variable, all fixed and variable things you need. Variable means it's going to go up and down, and then discretionary. And then these are the main thing we just talked about. Hope this was helpful.